Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. And thanks so much for joining us today for a really fantastic webinar. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and travelprofessionalnews.com, I welcome all of you and thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. I am really pleased that our host today is Exodus Travels, and our speaker is Kent Phillips. Kent's topic today is Secrets to Selling Walking and Cycling Trips with Exodus Travels. Ken Phillips has been in the travel industry for 20 years. He has traveled to over 55 countries and continues to explore the world and seek out off the beaten path destinations. Kent started his career as a travel consultant before opening and managing a travel agency. He specialized in travel to Asia, Africa, Latin America, and many other exotic destinations around the world. Kent's last stop in Peru was extra special as he worked as a volunteer coordinator and tour leader in Lima for incoming students from Canada. He returned to Canada for further education in Latin studies and anthropology, while continuing to work as a travel consultant. In the fall of 2016, he began working for Exodus Travels as a business development manager for Western Canada and the USA, and has traveled on Exodus itineraries through Jordan, the Baltics, Portugal, and Sri Lanka. Before we get started, please remember that you are all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions at any time in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of the presentation, we will get to as many questions as we can. Also note that when the webinar is over, Kent will do a drawing from all attendees who have been at this webinar for the whole time. The prize is a $500 travel voucher for one of Exodus Travel's great adventures. And after you see this webinar, you're going to be really even more excited about that voucher. So let's turn the microphone over to Kent so he can get started. Welcome, Kent.
Hi, thanks for having me. Can everyone hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone again. Thanks for the introduction. Again, my name is Kent Phillips. I'm the Business Development Manager for Exodus Travels in Western US and Canada. And this is our Secrets to Selling Walking and Cycling Trips with Exodus. Obviously, we have other types of trips. You can always go on our website, exodustravels.com, and find out all about the other exciting destinations and trips we offer around the world. But today we're going to focus on this. So as you can see here, over 100 plus countries worldwide, we are the specialists in cycling, hiking, culture, and responsible wildlife. That is myself there. We were talking before the webinar started. That's actually one of my first international cycling trips with Exodus in Jordan. And no, I'm not being chased by the police there. I'm actually being escorted, our group actually being escorted by these the wonderful hosts there in Jordan, our guides, and our police cruiser as we went through certain checkpoints and roadblocks in the country. It's got my title there, Business Development Manager, Western Canada, USA. You can always reach me at kent.phillips@exodustravels.com. I want to introduce you to my colleagues. There's the wonderful Tony Perdomo, who's also been in the industry almost 20 years. He is the Business Development Manager for Central Canada and the USA. And Wendy Mills, our most recent hire, Business Development Manager for Eastern Canada and the USA. So you have the three of us as your business development managers. You can always reach out to us. And again, I'll repeat my email and also an agent email at the end of the webinar to give you more access to reach out if you ever have questions or have clients with questions for us. Here we are, why Exodus? We're really excited. This year was actually our 45th birthday, if you can believe it, as one of the longest tour operators in the world, almost half a century of sending travelers on extraordinary adventures around the world. And wonderful repeat clients. We have a lot of loyal customers that travel with us, and also very loyal travel agents that book their clients repeatedly on Exodus trips, and that's always wonderful to hear. You can also read the reviews on our trip page as well, and see what people are saying about the trips they go on. Hopefully some of you have seen our brochures. These are the 2019-20 brochures, beautifully illustrated, and you'll see we divide them into different styles. So at the top there are the cycling adventures, self-guided. We're going to be going through these adventure, culture, and responsible wildlife, and finally walking and trekking. And again, on the website, you can go on and look at each individual style if you want, or you can look at a destination specific for certain trips. very important as an operator, responsible operator. And today we are talking about active travel, so it does appeal to the trend for more sustainable tourism. And as it says here, you know, exploring countries with the lowest environmental impact. People believe their presence is a burden on the environment. I think that's more important than ever before, you know, that we tread very carefully and we respect the cultures and the environments in the places that we visit. So something we really take to heart. And a part of being a responsible travel operator is the projects and the way we conduct our business. So this one, the Inspiration Project, we're really proud of. This is helping children across the globe discover the world. In 2017, we actually started taking children from the communities we visit on day trips with our Exodus leaders. So it was a really incredible experience. And you can see here a few examples. There's one in Jordan, in India. You know, a lot of these children have never got to experience what we do on a day-to-day basis, or when we are very lucky to get to travel to these incredible parts of the world. So for us to have a chance to take, you know, members of the community and especially children on these day trips is really, really moving and a wonderful experience. And hopefully we kind of share light on how important tourism is to these destinations, and perhaps find some future leaders and guides for Exodus and other companies, of course. Here it is here. Since 2017, we've sent over 4,000 children on over 137 trips in 28 countries. Really exciting. The other thing we started this year, which has really gained a lot of traction, is banning plastic on our trips. So trying to go plastic free. We give a few little tips there on going plastic free. We actually encourage now metal straws. If you can purchase them now pretty much anywhere. Bring your own metal straw. Try not to use plastic straws. Take reusable water bottles. Most of our trips, and you know, again, all our trips I've been on, will have a big water bottle that we can fill up at the beginning of the day and throughout the trip on our support vehicles, and that's really important. So we're not we don't keep buying plastic water bottles and then just throwing them out. The same with plastic bags. So a few little tips there for traveling plastic free. And what it's all about: feel good, have fun. So again, something I've really taken to heart, and what I love about doing active trips is you feel so much better. You know, you get that sense of achievement of something you've gained and explored, and then you come home, you feel rejuvenated. You know, we use the words wellness and mindfulness, things like that, and you come home and it's such a different experience when you get out and you do a bit of walking or cycling, and you know, the food tastes better, the wine tastes better, your body feels better. And when you come home, whether it's be going back to work or maybe you're retired and you have the time to reflect on your trip, it's such an experience that you're going to want to share with your friends and colleagues and workmates. And then getting off the beaten path, a wonderful image there from Iceland. So seeking new travel destinations and activities that are unique, that are authentic. So people are willing to accept limited tourism infrastructure with the promise of an exceptional, authentic experience. And that's, again, why we operate tours the way we do, with small groups going into more regional locations, staying in these beautifully locally owned properties, boutique hotels, family-run hotels, and getting away from kind of what we call the mass tourism, you know, 40, 50 people kind of getting off and on and going to every single major tourist site. We're trying to look for the smaller, authentic experiences in the countries we visit. And this, to me, is what says it all. This is what I love about traveling: visiting, interacting, and understanding, especially the locals and the kids. You know, I always tell stories about playing soccer in many different parts of the world, and absolutely loving having the kids come out from the community and want to take us on in a soccer match, or going on a cycling trip where you'll get to stop off and the kids are so excited. I know in Jordan, I tell the story about going through one of the Bedouin villages, and the father and son were kind of waiting for us. They knew that the Exodus trip was coming through, and then this boy had a bike that looked like it had been pieced together by and welded together by all these different bike parts, and he actually cycled with us for a little bit on our journey, and had a big smile on his face, and we were racing a little bit. And that's the experience that you don't always get on certain trips. And again, you're on the ground, you get to meet the people, you're not just waving at them from a bus window or what have you. So that's all about interaction, getting involved in community, learning about the culture, and putting a smile on the face of those that you meet. Something really important to Exodus, again, is local leaders, local knowledge. That's employing people from the regions we visit. So here is kind of an array of some of our leaders. Actually, Suresh in the middle there, he was our Sri Lankan leader. Sadly, I'm still devastated and heartbroken about what happened in Sri Lanka. It's one of the most beautiful countries I've ever visited, and I really, pray for the people there and hope that things get back on track, because it had been stable for so long, and it's such an incredible place. Suresh made that trip what it was, so passionate about his country, sharing all his wealth of knowledge and history. And they always go that extra step. They're always giving us the inside tips and sharing their little secrets and taking us to the best cafes and places like that. And that's what makes the trips. And you'll see a lot of reviews about the guides and how wonderful they are. This picture here is that's me in the back, and this is an agent fam that I hosted to Portugal last year on our cycling Porto to Lisbon. Highly recommend that trip. Small groups, big adventures. So our average group size is 12. Our clients are like-minded. We have a wide demographic: solos, couples, friends, 60% approximately solo female to male ratio, and about a 50-50 split couples to solo travelers. Average age this past year was 53. Our spectrum is kind of in that 35 to 80. I would say mostly working professionals and retirees are the bulk of our clients. And as I said there, average group size 12, 62% female travelers. This is also where it gets really important as far as the types of trips we're talking about today. With the active holidays, all levels of ability. So from first timers wanting to get into this to people that have more experience and more background, we rate every single trip we operate from a level 1 to a level 7. Most of our trips predominantly fall in the 1 to 3, so leisurely to moderate. Those are most of the trips I'm doing myself right now. Once you get above 3 into the 4, 5, and 6, 7 above, that's when you have to have a little bit more experience, training, background, what have you. But when you go on to the website, we'll have that listed, and then we're going to tell you, if it is an active trip, how many miles are we cycling or walking per day? What are the conditions? What's the elevation, altitude? All those details are in the trip notes on the website, but this gives you kind of a general guide. You can discuss that with your clients or for yourself if you're going on a trip and see what you're comfortable with. But what we want to make is these accessible for all types of travelers, not just for the season, type that are used to these kind of holidays. It's for a lot of first timers, which is nice. And then again, accommodation. Exodus always looking for really, really amazing, authentic experiences as far as accommodation, distinct, off the beaten path, locally owned. So a lot of really beautiful, top right would be one of our chateaus in the Alps region of Mont Blanc, the traditional Trulli homes in Italy down in Puglia, which is a really hot up and coming destination in Italy. A lot of farmhouses we use in places like Spain and Italy. And then one of our chateaus on Loire. We do an amazing gastronomic self-guided cycling trip in Loire, and that's one of the chateaus we stay in there. So again, unique, good quality accommodation, anywhere from 3 to 5 star, and we'll talk about moderate to premium. There is just some more images there. Authentic, locally owned, so supporting local economies, these beautiful updated places that we stay, a lot of them updated for agriturismo, especially the farmhouses, which I love in places like Italy and Spain. And premium departures, so for clients that are looking for a step up, more comfort, more of the 4 or 5 star, but without staying in these chain hotels, where we're staying in, again, unique, authentic, beautiful, villas, boutique hotels, places that are going to be memorable on your trip. And then again, on the website, you can go under accommodation, you'll get pictures, images, and then a little write-up about the accommodation on the trips. Premium tours, again, talking about premium, you can go into ways of travel, premium, and then look at all premium holidays. And then when you kind of scroll through, you'll see all those that are in the premium level. So again, for clients looking for the step up in accommodation. And here's some more here, highlights of Morocco, Porto to Lisbon, which was the cycling trip that I led last year, cycling in Kerala and southern India, so many of different places and styles that you can do on a premium trip. All right, here we go. One world, 2 feet. So we're going to be talking about walking holidays. So we offer over 200 walking and hiking adventures around the world. We've been leading these adventures over 35 years, and we are the world's leading operator of these type of trips. One of my favorites and probably our most popular are the center-based holidays. Great for first-time walking holiday adventurers or for people looking for short breaks. Also for people looking for maybe a pre-post cruise option in Europe. We base you at a beautiful small hotel, private lodge, farmhouse, what have you, and then we do day walks. And the nice thing is we'll have our guide, we'll have a nice breakfast in the morning, a coffee, and we go out on these beautiful walks in these really idyllic locations, a lot of times ending up at wineries, going to visit the little towns and villages to get some culture. We'll take a nice healthy packed lunch a lot of times with us, stop for photos, really enjoy, and then a lot of times either we'll end up at the winery or we'll have time to come back and sit by the pool and enjoy the afternoon. And the nice thing too at a center-based holiday, if you get up in the morning and you don't feel like you want to go for the hike or the walk, you don't have to. You can sit by the pool, read your book, drink your cappuccino or espresso and enjoy. That's up to you, but we do have a kind of a set itinerary of certain days. And we're also mixing in some flexible optional time too on these holidays as well as our regular holidays. Here's our #1 trip. You sell this trip to your clients, they're going to fall in love with you and rebook again and again. Walking the Amalfi Coast. Year to year, it is our #1 trip for many reasons. One of the best places in Europe and in Italy to go walking. 8 days. I give you just some of the information of the pricing up top. You've got the best of everything. Some of the best food and wine in Italy. If you're a history buff, you can go visit the ruins of Pompeii, Herculaneum, visit to Mount Vesuvius. Go out and spoil yourself on the island of Capri, and then we're based down in Positano, beautiful region to explore the coastline of Amalfi and do our walking. So walking to get those beautiful wide open views of the coastline. They call it the Walk of the Gods, with the superb panoramic views all the way down to Positano and down to the shores of the Amalfi. And then again, a drive out to the Bay of Naples and going to visit the ruins with an optional walk up Mount Vesuvius. I know a lot of our staff have taken this trip. Actually, a lot of our agent partners have gone on it and raved about it. These are some of our actual photos from my colleague Sheena, who's on maternity leave there. And one of the most important factors is the hotel we stay at. It's a wonderfully run Hotel du Torre where we stay. It's a family-run hotel. The brothers run it. Grandma's in the kitchen. A lot of the family of generations all work at the hotel, and everyone loves them. They've built a beautiful little pool there, and that's the base for where we do the walking. Here's one of my favorites. This is walking the Prosecco Hills in northern Italy, one of the oldest wine regions in Italy. And again, I think now one of the top choices for anyone wanting to do a walking and wine journey in Europe. When my parents were picking between Portugal and Italy, there was 2 trips. This was one of them we were looking at. Part of the reason, again, you know, the active level, it's a leisurely to moderate. You have 5 days of gentle walking and, you know, a lot included. So all breakfast, 4 lunches, 4 dinners, and a wine tasting. And again, with a lot of these trips, we're going to include some of the meals. We don't include all of them because we like to give you that flexibility that, at some points, especially in the evening, it's nice for you to go off and the guide will recommend a few places and you can have some time alone as well. Highlights the quiet trails away from the crowds, authentic Italian bubbles. We visit local producers, learn about the culture of the wine and Prosecco in this region. We also get the cultural side of it, so going to see all the medieval villages and charming towns in Treviso, etc. And we stay in one of my favorite properties, an elegant historic 4-star villa, which you're going to see here. It's called the Hotel Saligo, 18th century residence. Used to be frequented by a lot of Italian film stars. Stunning property, beautiful pool area, and a wonderful place to spend your center-based holiday. A lot of our staff have done this one and loved it. If you love wine, again, Chianti Walking and Wine, another wonderful choice and one of my favorites. 8 days trip here in the Tuscany region. Walking the classic rolling hills of Tuscany. We actually stay in one of our many farmhouses, which has all been updated. Of course, you know, Chianti known for the fabulous wine. This farmhouse also has a swimming pool. Again, 5 days gentle walking. And we use that term, gentle walking. Again, most of the leisurely, the 1 to 2 are perfect, again, for people that like to enjoy walking, but nothing too strenuous. And that's important. And again, when you're looking at the rates of how many miles per day you're going to be walking, that's important to see where you're comfortable. Visiting the little towns, the pizzerias, the cafes, the fresh produce, the bakeries, the butcher, you know, all the food locally sourced. And these places are all going to have, for the most part, are going to have an on-site restaurant, a little restaurant where it's all, again, locally sourced food. A lot of, they call the slow food movement. So the food is so fresh and healthy and it gets you prepared for your next day of activity. Some of the beautiful images from that trip. There's our farmhouse, the Villa Casalta. And then just some more images from Leslie, who's in our reservation team that went on this trip last summer with her fiance. Here's another trip, walks of Cinque, Terre, and Portofino. Again, Italy, always one of our top choices in Europe. I think we have more trips in Italy than anywhere else in Europe. and this is a really, really popular one as well, of course, because of some of the most beautiful views you'll get in Italy and the incredible walking. And of course, one of the best reasons to travel is food, trying all the locally sourced food. And Italy, of course, has it all. Incredible sweets, amazing pasta, amazing cheeses, etc. These photos you're going to see next are from Mont Blanc in the Alps. So we do a lot of trips in Mont Blanc. We do guided, self-guided. We do hotel-based and camping-based, so lots of different choices. And Tony, our colleague out in Toronto, he did this trip in August and didn't have, had so many great things to say about it. He said, again, to come home with that peace of mind, to have some time to just breathe that fresh air, read his book, enjoy coffee on his veranda overlooking the Alps was such an amazing experience for him. So I've stolen a few of his pictures. So Mont Blanc highlights 8 days trip, and you'll see kind of the best of hiking in the Alps in France, Switzerland, Italy. And then these are some of the beautiful images he took of the walking there in the very remote part of the Alps. Walking surrounded by dramatic mountain scenery, the high alpine lake, Lac Blanc. We stay in some really nice chalets on these trips. It's in a comfortable chalet. A lot of them will have an outdoor hot tub jacuzzi. So when you get back from your walk, you can sit in there and you've got the beautiful setting of the Mont Blanc mountains in the background. And we do a little bit of travel by minibus, local train, and cable car. A lot of times we'll transport you to the start of the hiking trail. They're not going to be right from your doorstep. It gives you also the altitude maximum there. And then some more images from Tony's trip here. Just beautiful, just stunning. He did this trip in August. And there he is there, just looking out at the beautiful scenery. Moving on to the other style of walking and hiking holiday, or point to point. So again, you are going to get the classic treks, the Inca Trail, Everest Base Camp. We actually started as an operator in Nepal, amazing relationship with the Nepalese there, and Kilimanjaro, place like that. But we also do quite a few in Europe, and they're not as not as much kind of point to point every day. A lot of the point to point we do in Europe that aren't solely center based are just a couple different spots, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So we'll stay in a few different properties. So you're not moving every single night. A lot of times you'll have 2 nights here, 2 nights there, but we do move around to a few different properties, but a really nice experience. Walking Puglia and Matera. Puglia and Matera is on the southern heel of Italy. This is actually where I'm going to be going to do a cycling trip in October. I'm really excited. This is kind of one of the other really up and coming destinations in Italy. You can read about it in a lot of the travel blogs these days. People are really loving this part of Italy that hadn't been explored too much up until the last number of years. And again, you can do guided, self-guided, cultural holidays, cycling, walking. It has it all along the Adriatic Sea here. And UNESCO towns of Matera and Alba Robello. We have a free day. A lot of our trips will include cooking courses, which are wonderful. Discover this food and wine lovers paradise. And then again, some of the culture, staying in the traditional Trulli homes, which you'll still see down in this part of the world. Incredible medieval towns and villages that we spend some time in. I just love walking around. And I always tell people, don't just go on the main streets. Anytime you visit a city, anywhere in the world, or a town or a village, you're always going to get the main drag where a lot of people spend time. But go explore kind of a street this way, a street that way. And that's sometimes where I've found the best food, the best coffee, the best little shops. And it just gets you more into that, into the community and meet the local people rather than just staying on the main drag. Here is a hugely popular trip. We're seeing a huge uprise in pilgrimage treks around the world. The Camino de Santiago trek we do about, I'm trying to think in miles, about 70 miles, I believe, 100 kilometers of this, a 9-day trek. And we do the Compostela, so you get your stamp that you've completed it with the clamshell stamps. And again, it's talking about achievement, going on these trips and feeling a sense of, look what I did. People that have goals and want to achieve a certain level of activity. This is one of the highlights. So following one of the world's oldest pilgrim routes, Romanesque cathedrals, medieval monasteries, unspoilt rural scenery, beautiful part of the world to go walking. You can actually do a self-guided walk here as well. And again, as it says, collecting stamps for your pilgrim's passport along the way. And again, we do a new one in Japan called the Kamano Kodo pilgrimage trek. It looks absolutely amazing. We do one in Italy and one in France as well. So people looking to do the pilgrimage walking, these are really popular these days as well. And then again, back to the Amalfi Coast. So we stay at two premium comfort 4 or 5-star properties on this Trails and Treasures of the Amalfi Coast. So definitely a step up with some premium accommodation on this trip, showing a few of the images there. Just beautiful, stunning views of the Amalfi coastline and beautiful appointed rooms. Here is the trip that I can't stop talking about. My mom and dad, who are in their mid-70s now, they just did this trip last fall, and they loved it. That was their first Exodus trip, and they do love walking, they love wine, and they love food. And so we were looking at trips. This was the one we decided on, and they didn't have enough good things to say about it. Their guides, they raved about. They loved the days where they're walking, the winery visits. They stayed in these beautiful villas, which you'll see. And again, starting and ending in Porto in the Douro Valley, just a beautiful place. Portugal, I decided I'm going to retire there. It is stunning. It is safe, affordable. If you like seafood, it's incredible. The port and wine is amazing. It's got everything you could ever imagine. And so Portugal definitely should be on a highlight for anyone looking at sending clients to Europe. So discovering ancient wine cellars, the quiet countryside, exploring vibrant Porto, which I loved. 7 nights in 4 or 5-star hotels. So these are some of the properties. Here is in Porto where we stay. And then a couple of the villas, which my dad actually was helping me do a talk last week to a women's group that are doing one of our walking and wine trips. And he was talking about the villas and how beautiful they were, just wonderful settings. And again, away from it all in these really peaceful settings where you can just relax and enjoy your trip with your small group. And then again, stealing some of these from my dad, the vineyards that you're walking through, the terrace vineyards that you're walking through there. And then just some other images. Okay, moving on. I'm going to go a little quicker now because I've got so many things to show you. Walking on the Greek islands. This is kind of the best of the Greek islands in this part of Greece, Paros, Naxos, and Santorini, which I had the pleasure of living in back in the late 90s. So you know, you kind of get the best of every island, and they are wonderful to spend time on. I always suggest, especially for Europe, if you can avoid it. I know school teachers, it's tough, and some people, depending on their profession, but if you can go to Europe, I always prefer kind of late April, May, June, and then September, October. Summer can get quite busy, quite hot, and more expensive. So if it is avoidable, those are the best times. And Greece, especially, if anyone's ever been to Athens in the middle of summer, it can be unbearable. Moving on to a couple different styles, the Inca Trail. Again, you know, after living in Peru, one of my favorite parts of the world, I was lucky enough to hike the Inca Trail, spend quite a bit of time down in Cusco and around Machu Picchu, the Sacred Valley. This is the Inca Trail Premium in comfort. So obviously when you're on the trail, you're camping, but when we're not, we're staying in premium accommodation, 9-day trip. Another one that's become really popular is people want to go see the Great Wall, but why not do a walking holiday on the Great Wall? So this, you know, this trip spends quite a bit of time, and we're not just doing the, you know, you don't do the busy stretches where you see thousands upon thousands. You're doing the kind of the more remote sides and parts of the Great Wall, which I had the pleasure of experiencing. And again, big difference between being with your group, small group of people, and being with thousands of tourists. Huge difference to seeing the Great Wall. And again, where it started it all for Exodus, Everest Base Camp Trek. For those looking for a challenge, you're going to have to do a bit of training for this one. But we do some other treks in the Nepal region that aren't as, you know, aren't as high altitude and such. So if you're looking for an experience in Nepal, tons of different options in that part of the world. And then moving on to self-guided. So self-guided, a lot of people are a little maybe confused or not sure about self-guided. These are perfect for people that are a little more independent minded. So with self-guided, we set up the accommodation, transfer of luggage, 24-hour emergency assistant, detailed trip notes, GPS on cycling trips. Everything is laid out for you, a lot of meals included. I call it the roots or the bones of the trip, but you go at your own pace and leisure. You don't have an actual guide with you. So this is great for couples, friends, families, and I'll show you a few examples. This is predominantly in Europe only. We do have one holiday in Bermuda, but predominantly for Europe, walking and cycling holidays. But again, on the leisurely to moderate side. One of our favorites, the Secrets of Sicily self-guided walk. Sicily has it all. I think my boss, who travels the world, he says Sicily is one of his favorite places. You know, you can go there for cooking courses, cycling trips, amazing cultural highlights trips, Sicilian volcanoes. There's so many different options in Sicily, and self-guided is a really great option for those looking to do something a little more independent. So as it says here in the highlights, turquoise seals, coral-lined grottos, unspoilt sandy beaches, the amazing flora and fauna that you're going to get. And I love the bird life in Europe too. If you're a bird watcher, lots of options there. Medieval churches, and we stay in a traditional Sicilian farmhouse, which is wonderful. Here is a beautiful view of one of our properties in the pool there. Onward, self-guided classic Swiss Alps walk, which is another really popular one in Switzerland. So again, an 8-day trip. And there is another one I love. I had the pleasure of doing some hiking and walking up in the Lake District when I lived in London. Such a beautiful part of England, northern England there in the Lake District, staying these beautiful little bed and breakfasts and going out and walking, and then having a fresh ale at the end of the day is a really nice way to treat yourself at one of the little taverns or guest houses. So literally walking the Lake District, 7-day trip. So that's just a quick overview of some of the walking holidays. You can explore so many more on our website of different leisures, from the leisurely 1, 2 on up to the higher level active ones as well, and other parts of the world. You know, a lot of the focus there was on Europe, but we do them all over the world. So if there is a particular part of the world, whether it be in Asia, Africa, Latin America, we do every part of the world. So we talked about having over 200 walking, hiking itineraries. We offer over 140 cycling itineraries in a variety of durations, destinations, and difficulty levels. And again, we've been doing it for a long time. This is our brand new brochure for cycling. Most importantly, the type of cycling. The most popular, about 85%, are the hybrid road cycles. Road cycling that I've done most of, self-guided off-road. So for example, mountain biking in Morocco on the Atlas descent, and drop bar, which by no means am I ready for, but we do have some clients that love doing these. These are the racing bikes or drop bar bikes. So the Tour de France, for example, we do old routes of the Tour de France. That's a level 7 on the active level. Most important, peace of mind. People getting into this for the first time don't want to worry about bringing everything with them. We include the bikes. We just take your height of yourself or your clients. You have to bring your own helmet, whatever gear you want. I suggest gloves. I suggest padded shorts, and I bring my own gel seat. Some people bring their own shoes and pedals, which we can put on. Again, depending on your level and what type of trip you're doing. Some people, most of the trips I've been on, half have the shoes and pedals, half don't, but the gear is important. The padded shorts, definitely. But we take care of the bikes for you. At the end of the day, they're locked up. Any issues on the trail, we have our bike guide there. So they've got their first aid kits, they've got their pumps, they've got their tire patches, everything's taken care of for you. And even better, we have vehicle support. So on most of the trips, the guided trips, the vehicle support will ride alongside the group, kind of, you know, coming and going as we ride. And the wonderful thing is, at any point you need to get off, you want to have a break, or you need a rest, you want to get to the lunch spot or to our adjoining hotel for that evening, you can get on the passenger van. You're not left in the middle of nowhere. We do take a lot of time to stop for water, for pictures, for really nice, some of my favorite experience, having picnic lunch in these beautiful national parks and woodlands, and stopping and just, you know, again, in these really peaceful locations. But the support vehicle's there for peace of mind, for comfort, and to help along with the trip. Now, the revolutionized experience of electric bikes, which we're seeing more and more in North America. I see them all over the US and Canada, and now we have them on more trips. It's great for friends or couples at different fitness levels. You can do a trip predominantly in Europe only. We did add Sri Lanka. We have a few more hopefully coming. These are always on request. And again, you know, they're wonderful for people that maybe have a little bit of a concern maybe for hills on a trip. And the great thing is you're still cycling, but you get that extra momentum going up a hill. So perfect for those people, or if you want to try a slightly higher grade trip, those trips are listed having the electric bike. Here's going into some of our most popular, cycling the Dalmatian coast. 8-day trip, highly rated. I was just reading the reviews today. Lots of people going on these trips. Wonderful combination between land and island. So we start in Split End in Dubrovnik, and we do island hopping. So we'll ferry you island to island, and then also ride on the mainland. And people love this trip. Tony is hosting an Agent Fam in a couple of weeks going to this one, and we'll look forward to hearing more about his trip and feedback from that one. Spectacular coastal cycling routes, the mainland and islands on 2 wheels, and of course Dubrovnik, which is always a highlight for people on the trip. Again, when you look on the website under the itinerary, you're going to get the distance, so you'll see it in kilometers and miles. You know, the pace, the terrain. The other nice thing too, if you're selling cycling trips or going on one, again, it's not a race. We'll always have our bike guides waiting for everybody, and usually, typically, yes, front pack, middle pack, end pack, but we're always going to wait and make sure everyone catches up. It's always safe. And again, there's lots of time for breaks. And then just some images of this trip. Split, where you start, there's the ferry. We transfer from island to island. Wonderful, beautiful island of Korčula. There's a cycling image going through one of the vineyard areas. I love these images here. And of course, Dubrovnik on the end. Here is the trip that I will recommend over and over and again, and I have. Porto to Lisbon. This is our premium trip, which we hosted an agent fam on last May. Unbelievable. Porto down to Lisbon, the landscape, the bike routes, which is great in Europe. There are all these separate bike paths that they've built, very safe, very secure off the main highways. Here you're going along the coastline, through woodlands, along sand dunes, going by nature reserves with incredible bird life, wildflowers everywhere. I was absolutely blown away. My mouth dropped every time I came around a corner. And the best thing about cycling is you get off more into the rural communities, so you see what rural life's like, which you don't typically see on a tour when you're going major city to major city on a larger transport with a bigger group of people. You're really getting into the heart of the destination. So discovering Lisbon and Porto, absolutely love those cities. Premium accommodation, unbelievable local cuisine, really affordable destination, and gentle coastal rides and lots of free time in the afternoons along the beaches. Beautiful tile church in the mosaic tiling in Porto. One of the views there, these are my pictures from the trip. The wonderful little towns that we stopped in with these beautiful churches. We stopped for a little espresso in the suites of the bakeries. All the towns, you know, the striped town that we stopped for lunch. And then here is a typical cycling group, and what you don't see is a lot of traffic. Wonderful bike paths as well you're going to get in Europe. And there's our group, so happy. One of our incredible, my favorite hotel, this premium boutique hotel overlooking the ocean with an infinity pool over the roof. What a way to spend the last few hours of your day once you get off the bike. And then some of my wildflower shots from that trip. Óbidos, which is the town, the historic town in north of Lisbon, about an hour north, which I really, really loved as well. The centerpiece is the castle at the top of the hill. And then Lisbon with the trolleys and the wonderful, you can see in the bottom picture there, the stuffies someone was hanging, as well as the clothes. Lisbon is fantastic. This is the next cycling trip, the Baltics. We also do a cultural trip, Discover Baltics. This is the trip I did in August. 11 days, the best of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, the former Russian Republic. Wow. Again, absolutely stunning. I flew into Helsinki, took a 2-hour ferry over to Tallinn, one of my favorite cities now in Europe. The historic old city of Tallinn was unbelievable. Little cafes and boutique shops and restaurants in there. Lots of amazing live music. Tapa places. I met an amazing gentleman from Portugal that had a little wine and tapa place there. Wonderful place to walk around. And then we cycle. That's Rich, actually, who we met in Jordan. He's from England, and he's now coming on our 3rd trip with us. He became a good friend. So cycling through 3 countries, exploring fascinating capitals, of course, Tallinn, Riga, and Vilnius in Lithuania, which blew me away. We do a lot of castle visits. There's some beautiful folklore, a lot of castles that you go to, and we actually had lunch at a few of them, and all amazing scenery. So this is one of the bird watching reserves where we stopped and had this wonderful group photo. And then we just sat there and watched all the birds coming in, and you could see that throughout. One of the old Russian villages, they were selling onions. Some of the woodlands we cycled through. Beautiful, beautiful architecture on the old churches. There's the Cinque Castle, the Latvian border with my fiance there. And then we actually cycled through the cities and towns as well. The nice thing is a lot of their streets are pedestrian friendly and bike friendly. So again, not a lot of traffic on some of these. Cycling along the beach, we had a beach day on the Baltic Sea, making new friends. And as you can see here on the left is Vilnius. There's these wonderful trails along the river, very lush city, Vilnius, beautiful city. And then Riga on the right. The river valley again in Vilnius, and then Tallinn, the old city on the right there. And then one of the castles we visited for lunch, and Cinque Castle in Lithuania, where it was kind of the end of our cycling portion of the trip. So moving along quickly, Prague to Budapest. I would say this is one of my favorite cycling trips. This is an 11-day, really popular option. Cycling along rivers through forests and national parks, 4 countries. Central European culture, cuisine, wine, and beer. And we're staying in 3- and 4-star hotels on this one. A few others just to highlight: Tuscany, Cycle, Siena, and Chianti, an 8-day trip there. And ones that become really popular, and we're actually going to have some more we're going to be launching right away, are the bike and boat, or the bike and barge, if you will. Passau, Budapest, and Vienna. This is a 100-passenger boat, 3 iconic European capitals, romantic towns, and mighty castles. We go through Danube National Park, leisurely cycling along easy routes. So this is great because you can be on the boat, and then during the day we do these wonderful cycle paths. Some of them you can go for a short while, and some of them you can do an extended route. And you're staying on the ship in the evening, and all cabins here on suite with air conditioning. So that's a really popular option. I'll give you the heads up though, the bike and boats sell out really early, so you gotta secure space quickly on those, especially during peak season in Europe. And then moving back to self-guided, so again, mostly in the 1 to 3 level. My favorite trip by far, and again, I've talked to a number of people who have done it, including a lot of agents actually have done it and loved it. The Loire gastronomic self-guided cycling trip in France. These are some of the chateaus we stay on. This is a bestseller. Obviously, there's lots of other options, but this one is definitely a #1. And then some of the highlights there, stopping in the wineries. If you're into wine or beer, you can get a wine or beer holder. And the food. It's all about the food. A lot of these trips, especially the self-guided, will include like 5-course meals, and you'll just be inundated with some of the most amazing cuisine you've ever had in your life. And the cheese, it's all about the cheese. And we do wine service. So our reps will provide complimentary pickup of any wine you've found at the vineyards, and that's really nice. So you don't have to worry about bringing it back. We'll take care of it and bring it back to your hotel for you. So just a couple more different parts of the world. Another really popular trip for us is Vietnam. We do, again, cultural trips all over Asia. This one is one of our most popular cycling ones in Vietnam, from the north to the south. Hanoi, visiting Ha Long Bay. The great thing is a great mix of culture and active. Visiting Hue, going to Hoi An, out to a tropical island, and then of course to Saigon, getting some of the history there and the Cu Chi tunnels. And then you can do a whole loop into Cambodia, which is highly suggested if you have extra time, and go visit Angkor Wat in Siem Reap in Cambodia. So you can do a wider loop, and we have different styles of trips in this part of the world. So enjoying the best of Vietnam on 2 wheels. Of course, it's all about the food in Vietnam, crawling through the Cu Chi tunnels, relax in charming Hoi An. I absolutely adored Hoi An. Cruising along the limestone formations at Ha Long Bay, which is in the picture here, a highlight of any trip to Vietnam, and overnight on a tropical island. I'm gonna get to the near the end here. Petra and Wadi Rum by bike. This was actually my first cycling trip with Exodus, and this is where I fell in love with cycling. I'm going to be going on my 4th trip to Italy in the fall, and this is a 9-day trip. So these are all photos. Again, that's the picture you saw from the beginning. Jordan, very safe. I felt safer there than I do in my own backyard sometimes. They take very good care of you. And again, I've always wanted to see Petra since I saw Indiana Jones as a kid. So a highlight for me to see Petra on that trip. Floating in the Dead Sea. I was lucky enough to float in the Dead Sea in Israel many years ago. So getting to do it on the other side. The ancient ruins of Jerash, which I didn't know about, one of the biggest Roman sites in that part of the world, so we get to visit the ruins there. And then the highlight is camping in the Wadi Rum in the desert with a wonderful Bedouin hospitality. There's our group in Jordan, the Roman ruins of Jerash, Petra. I can't say enough about Petra by day, and then we actually do it by night, where you can go and walk down the Cinque with all the candlelights, and they have music playing. It's such a special moment to be there. That's me being really excited to be there. Highlight of my life. Swimming in the Red Sea, again, did some snorkeling there, and then our 4-wheel drive out to a Wadi Rum, where we experienced the best of Bedouin culture, sleeping under the stars, no sound, just the stars, sleeping around the campfire and sharing all our stories with our fellow travelers. I don't know if you recognize the gentleman in the orange jacket there. We met him in Jordan, Rich, and he was in that picture of me on that hilarious tandem bike in Baltics, and he's actually coming to do Italy with us. So those are the type of people you meet. Quickly, I know we're talking about walking and cycling. I just want to cover quickly culture and wildlife. Cape Town to Vic Falls, lodges and camping options. So we do lots in Africa, Vic Falls there. Sheena, my colleague, an incredible photographer. Those are her pictures of the wildlife. Nile cruise, we do a premium Nile cruise, Cairo down the Nile. And we actually do a trip that extends up to Alexandria and all the way down to Aswan. So for people looking to go to Egypt, this is the boat we use. It's a beautiful premium comfort trip, 4 or 5 star, very, very highly rated. The reviews are fantastic on this trip. And if you have clients looking for a premium trip, the Amazon rainforest cruise we do. Again, it's a 4 or 5 star experience. Very, very, incredible experience on the Amazon, and your room with a view, everything that would come with 4 or 5 star service. Culinary. If you have clients that love food and wine, just kind of highlighting some of the trips. We talked about them: Prosecco Hills, Chianti walking wines, Sicily and Spain food adventure, Vietnam food adventure. We immerse you in the food culture. We take a food guide with you or a chef, and they go to all the little markets and get the spices and the herbs. And then we go into a classroom setting and we learn how to prepare the food. And then you can come home and put on this amazing feast for all your friends and colleagues. Responsible wildlife. So the best of sustainable, that's really important, sustainable natural habitat viewing, something really, really important to discuss with your clients if they are visiting any destinations in the world where wildlife's involved. Please, please, please be mindful of what is involved in that, whether it be involved with tigers, dolphins, monkeys, whatever it is, elephants. Really important to do your research. Some of the experiences here, primates and dragons of Indonesia, one of my favorite places, Borneo, to see the orangutans, land of the tiger, tigers in their natural setting in India, places like that, photography safaris. And for family, don't forget the family. I've got 2 kids myself. We have amazing family adventures I call outside the box of typical family trips geared towards school holidays, different minimum ages. And a lot of them will mix in activity. Kids want to be active, right? So, and we can do tailor-made. We can do custom trips for family as well, depending on their ages. And then a few more here: Costa Rica, chopsticks and coconuts in Vietnam. Morocco is a big one for families, in Southeast Asia. Moving along here, we're almost finished. Mixed activities. So if you have clients that are looking to do active, but also do some cultural and do different types of activity, maybe not just focused on cycling, maybe do a bit of cycling, rafting, kayaking. We have a number of different options here. Woo! I live in Alberta in Canada. It's May and we're still getting snow, if you can believe it. So this one scares a lot of people away, but you'd be surprised at how many people want to go to Iceland and see the Northern Lights, want to go fat biking in Finland, want to go snowshoeing and dog sled racing in Norway. There are some really, really cool winter experiences you can have as well. Scandinavia and of course the Arctic, Antarctica, and we do polar as well. We partner up with Quark and One Ocean Expeditions for some incredible experiences in the polar regions. We actually just announced today, if you go on our website under specials, you can go and we have 15% off certain Antarctic trips for the 2020-21 season. So if you have clients looking at polar, please go on our website and you can talk to our res team about the options there. And important for you, agent resources, so destination guides. You can go on and look: walking, cycling, winter, family, culture, any type of trip, any style is on here. Under walking, new holidays, bestsellers, tailor-made, top destinations, everything is at your fingertips on the Exodus Travels website. We'll give you guides. So if you have clients, you can impress them and send them a walking guide of the destination they're going to. We actually have training guides as well for some of our more challenging trips. We have a travel agent portal. So if you'd like to get signed up on our Exodus agent portal, the nice thing here is you can go in, you can see live availability, what trips are guaranteed, how many people are on it. Even better, what is the demographic of people on our trips? What are the ages? Does this fit with my client? And what are the room categories? So really, really nice option there for solo travelers. Excellent resource. We have a lot of solo travelers traveling with us, and the single supplement rates, if you want your own room, are really reasonable. So that's an important point as well. Here's the portal, so it'll give you the trip. Is it open? Is it guaranteed? How many available spaces? The dates, everything is on there, the price and the single supplement. Continuing on with more education, if you want to learn more about Exodus Travels, you go to the expert page. So exodus-expert.com, and I can always send a link to you as well. But there we have a really fun interactive website for agents where you can go in and get your certification for badges once you complete a little tutorial. They're really fun. You won't fall asleep at your desk. You can do it on your own time, and we'll send you out a little certificate. And then we have videos. I'm not showing any today, but if you go on to Exodus Travels YouTube, we have some amazing videos that we can share with you. So that's a really good site for you. I also encourage everyone to go on the Exodus Agent Adventure Club on Facebook, and on there you'll get lots of promos. We have information like Travel Agent Day, Appreciation Day, which was yesterday, where we announced, I'll show you in a minute what we announced for Travel Agent Day, and perks for you, incentives. So if anyone wants to go on a trip, we'll give a 30% off the rates. If you've done only one booking only, we'll give you 50% off your trip, and then any 10 bookings you get a free trip. So and we do lots of incentives, contests, and other fun stuff with Exodus. So you can go on our newsletter and get that information. And kind of wrapping it up here, tailor-made. So your group, your way. So we do private departures. If you want to do an escorted trip, we'll do that as well. And we'll put it together for you so we can do custom trips, and we'll help you market. So we'll do up these beautiful flyers. We'll put your agency information, contact phone number, all of that on there. You can send it out on social media, PDF, print it off, what have you, for your clients. And or if you want to do specialty, we do that. So I'm just highlighting a few options there. This was our Travel Agent Appreciation Day, which came out yesterday. So every agent booking made in May will empower a female in Nepal. We're actually giving out freedom kits for women that are deemed untouchable. They're unable to attend school, go to work, being in society, and banned from their own homes during, period where they can't be out in public or deemed by the local and the community. So the freedom kits are really amazing. So in here it shows you the comfortable pads and inserts, pad holders, night pads, pairs of underwear, carrying purse, wet bag, soap bag and soap strings, and Peg's information sheet along with it. So something we're always doing different projects, and this is one really important to us. So helping the women in Nepal with these. So every agent booking will give one of those out to the women there. And to wrap it up, why Exodus? 15% commission on all tours, including polar trips, to suit a wide range of budgets and fitness levels. The world's leading hiking and biking operator, responsible, great loyalty rewards for agents. And here is, again, this is important at the bottom, agents at exodustravels.com if you have any questions. Again, you can reach out to myself, kent.phillips@exodustravels.com. My colleague Tony Perdomo, Wendy Mills as well. We're happy to help with any questions that you have or your clients have, and always reach out to the agents at Exodus Travels website. Whew, we did it. And I think we have a prize giveaway.
Thank you, Kent. That was phenomenal. That was like around the world in 45 minutes. Fantastic. We have several questions. I think we have time for one or two. If we don't get to your question, do get in touch with Kent. He has given you his email address. Kent, maybe you can go back to the first slide and put that contact info up again. But there are many ways to reach Kent and his team. So if we don't get to your question, here we go. Okay, a couple of quick questions. For the tailor-made trips, how many people do you require to be in a group to do a custom-made private tour?
Yeah, so the difference there, so with our tailor-made custom, we can either do a private. So let's say you just had two couples, for example. We can do that style, like a custom for any number of people. For a group, if an agent wants to promote a group, and whether they want to go and build themselves into it or just sell it as a group, typically, we want to keep it with our typical group size. Normally what I'm seeing is you kind of want to have it at least a minimum of 10. Because that makes a difference in costing, because our group size average 12, we're kind of in that 12 to 16 range typically. So especially if you're wanting to build yourself for someone in as a free of charge, what we do is we'll give you the net and then you mark it up accordingly. But again, group size will differentiate the cost, but usually I like to start at around 10, give or take. And most of our groups going out nowadays are, again, to get that costing at a good price is typically in that 12 to 15 range, give or take. Hopefully that answers that.
Yes, and so if a travel agent wants to bring a group and wants to get a tour conductor out of it, he or she would just price that in to the.
And what we'll do is we have Julie, the head of our groups and tailor-made department, and we've got our staff there, and they'll work on that with you. They'll give you the pricing. If we include you as a free of charge, here's the net price. You mark it up accordingly. If you're just selling it without the agent wanting to go or what have you, or hosted, then we can kind of work with those parameters. Absolutely.
Okay, great. One more question, and again, Kent will see all the questions that you've asked, so do get in touch with him and he'll have an answer for you. Our last question that we have time for, can Exodus arrange airfare to the tours?
We typically don't. It is a good question. We're a tour operator only. We do include not that I would rely on this. We do include some from the UK, only because it's quite a bit easier for our clients coming out of the UK. If you're coming from North America, typically no, we're just the land operator. But what we do is we'll give you, the details. Here's the start hotel, here's the end hotel. Do you want pre-night, post-night, which I always recommend, whether you book it with us or independently, but you do want to have, I always give myself a bit of leeway in case of any schedule changes or what have you, or just to get the lay of the land. But we'll at least give you the details of arrival and departure, which is important when you are looking at flights. But typically, we're just the tour operator.
Okay, fantastic. We are going to get to the prize giveaway again. Now, again, it's a $500 voucher for an Exodus tour. And how this is going to work is that Kent is going to ask a question about something that he discussed during this webinar. And if you have the right answer, type it in, and we'll take the third correct answer I see on my screen. So, Kent, go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, so the question I had is how many, or at least how many walking holidays, walking and hiking, and how many cycling holidays do we have?
Okay, so that's two separate numbers we're looking for, walking holidays and cycling holidays. So we need two different answers. Okay, answers are coming in. A lot of people are saying a lot.
There is a lot.
Okay, we have a winner. And the correct answer is Exodus has over 200 walking holidays and 140 cycling holidays. And the winner is Linda Pham, or Phame. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but congratulations, Linda. You had the correct answer. We will pass your contact information to Kent, and he will get back to you about how to redeem your $500 voucher. This has been really fantastic. Thank you to Exodus Travels, and lots of thank yous to Kent Phillips, Business Development Manager for Western Canada and the U.S. Kent, that was absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you. And thank you. I really appreciate you having me. And I appreciate everyone taking time out of their day. We're here to help. If you ever have questions, you can call our res team. We have a 1-800 number. Myself, Tony, and Wendy, we're always here to help. So anything you need, please reach out to us. And hopefully we can get some of your clients on our trips.
Hope so. They look wonderful. I want to thank all of our agents again for taking time out of your busy day to be here with us. I know you got a lot out of this. And so enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye now.